Hi, I'm your neighbor James, and on May 16th, I'm voting yes to the Home Rule Charter. Now, I said that I'm voting yes to the Home Rule Charter because primarily I believe that government should be held accountable, and I still stand by that. Although that is my primary reason, of course, the secondary reason why I'm voting for the Home Rule Charter and the impetus for this entire movement has been because of the sewer sale. Now, we have an opportunity to stop the sewer sale. Now, some people are going to ask, well, why in the world would you want to stop the sewer sale? Isn't PA Water going to come down and give you guys $104 million? That's going to solve a lot of your problems. The Board of Supervisors, in fact, have taken a position that with $104 million, they'll be able to do a multitude of things throughout the township. Some of them sound pretty cool. Like, for instance, they're saying with the additional reserve capital, we'll be able to buy new police cars, fire vehicles. We'll be able to do road work and infrastructure projects. Hell, we'll be able to even put in some pickleball courts, some bocce courts. Won't that be amazing? And that does sound cool. Some of the bigger issues that they cite has been like, oh, well, we could actually run Towamencin like a business. And when we run it like a business, we're going to clear all the debt. And we're going to have this huge reserve capital in the bank. And we're going to make all kinds of money. And we're going to make all kinds of profit. And that sounds wonderful to the untrained ear. The problem is that when you say that you're going to run Towamencin Township like a business, government is in the business of servicing the people. That's what government is for. That's their business. So if Towamencin is going to make any money off of their business, they have to sell a product. And what is the product? They're going to sell us. They're not selling our service. They're selling us. They're selling access to us. They're selling access to our bank accounts. Because on the flip side of all these great and wonderful things that we're going to have as far as the $104 million sale and all this debt clearing and banks and money in reserves as Towamencin is concerned. For the average ratepayer, for the residents, for our seniors, for people on fixed income, for people who are barely getting by, working 2 jobs, paying their bills, they're going to have to pay additional money in order to stay here. Businesses are going to leave. Families are going to be displaced because they won't be able to afford the high rents and the additional money on top of the mortgages that they pay each month. These are things that we have to consider. I was once told that the people who oppose the sewer sale are only fixed on the rates and what we're going to be paying. The truth of the matter is, I have considered the other things that we're talking about. And although I'm not a big, I like to be in debt person, anybody who's seen me driving around in my cars understand that I could afford to buy a new car, but I choose not to. As long as I can keep my car on the road, I don't want to get into a car payment because I don't like debt. I get that. But at the same time, I understand that carrying debt isn't a bad thing. When you buy a home, you carry debt. Yes, you're a homeowner, but you're carrying that debt until the house is paid off. Who doesn't want to pay their house off? That's wonderful, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of selling my house so I can rent it back and pay quintuple what I was paying in my mortgage because I don't want to fix a pipe or I don't want to take out another loan to fix the roof. That to me is not smart. And that's where we are, because when we look at the rates, we're talking about paying quintuple, 5 times the amount that we currently pay, potentially, for the same service. We're not paying them the additional rate so that they can fix or repair our sewer because our sewer is in good repair. We're not paying because somebody passed down a regulation, whether it came down from the Fed or came down from the state, and we have to get up to code because that hasn't happened yet. We're just going to pay additional money because we're sending our money to a different person. And that in itself is something that we should stand here and say, is this really a good idea? We're putting ourselves in a position where we are simply flushing money down the toilet. Now, as we talk about the rates going up 5 times, we could talk about the Andrews family coming in and asking about their rates. Paul Andrews went through his bills. He used the PA Water equation, figured out what his bill was going to be. He went down to the open house that was hosted by the Towamencin Township Board of Supervisors and PA Water to make sure the residents have the information they need so they can do the proper financial planning. He went down there with his information. Didn't tell him what number he came up with. The representative punched the numbers and they came up with the same amount. $2,100. That's 5 times the amount that he currently pays. And she didn't say you're going to pay 5 times the current amount in 10 years or 15 years. She said, oh, this is going to be your yearly rate. And this contradicts exactly what Rich and Kristen and Laura and Chuck said to us in the Board of Supervisors meeting just this week. They told us that we're going to have a 10-year step up, and that's just the way it is. I specifically asked Rich during his presentation if it was in the contract, because we supposedly signed a contract and we supposedly the deal is done and we're finalized and everything is a go. And I asked him, have we put that in the contract that we will not have an increase in rate, or at least we'll have a 10-year step up as far as our rates concerned over the course of 10 years? After some hemming and hawing, Chuck eventually answered, and the answer is no. I know just from doing regular business. I'm not even talking about how I make money, but just doing regular business around the house. If you've ever hired a contractor, if you've ever joined the gym, if you ever bought a car, if you've ever done any myriad of things, the contract and the terms in the contract outline exactly what you're going to get and what you're going to give them in return. Anything outside of that contract that somebody told you or talked to you about does not exist. It's unenforceable. Who's buying our sewer system? We've been holding out that NextEra was buying it for $115 million, that they were the next big thing, that they were awesome, they were incredible, they are the new players in the game, and they're all about sewer system maintenance, and they have such wonderful reviews, and that's how they sold it to us. Come just past December, they decided all of a sudden that they were completely getting out of the water game entirely. These great people that they were about to sell us to for $115 million, they no longer do the sewer at all. And now we're being sold to PA Water for $104 million. Funny how the contract is finalized, but we're changing who we're assigning to the contracts, parties of the contracts, and the amount of money that we're getting in compensation for the contracts, but the contracts are rock solid and there's no room for negotiation. When we talked about the specifics of the contract, and I asked about, well, this deal that you say that you have as far as a 10-year step up, we were told, oh, this is what they do. And because they put it in under the PUC, this is how it's supposed to happen. And this is what they said they were going to do. And we have a great working relationship. How many times have you gone to buy something and you had a great working relationship talking to the salesman right before you handed them your credit card? And as everybody sits here and looks at this deal with rose-colored glasses, the problem with that premise is that rose-colored glasses don't come in bifocals. You don't see the fine print because you're so happy about the $104 million, you don't see the catastrophe that you're about to throw this township into. That's why on May 16th it's so important that you come out and vote yes to the Home Rule Charter, because it not only will stop the sewer sale, but it will hold these supervisors accountable to the people. We have to be able to ask questions, and if we don't like the answers, we have to have a lever to be able to do something. And when I talk about the sewer sale itself, it's basically a shell game. PA Water is going to pay Talmenton Township $104 million. Then the ratepayers are going to give PA Water $104 million back. James, you can't believe that. According to PFM and the Board of Supervisors, there's no way they can do that. The PUC Avengers will not allow that to happen to you because they're going to defend you. The PUC is not going to defend us or protect us against higher rates. That's a lie. Now, I could say that that's misdirection, that's misunderstanding, but at this point, because we've been saying it for 2 years now, it's really beckoning into the category of lie because the information is widely circulated and is well known. PFM, they do business and are aware of the PUC practices because they're the ones that came in and gave us lectures about how the PUC is going to protect us. This is Representative John Lawrence talking to a PUC commissioner. And I want you to pay special attention to whether the PUC has to honor any agreement that's outside the four corners of any contract, as well as who is going to pay for the system after the system is bought. Let's take a listen.
If a corporation purchases a municipal water or sewer system, that corporation can turn around, push all of the acquisition costs, the purchase price, onto ratepayers, and the PUC is bound to approve higher water rates to cover those costs. Am I correct?
Am I correct?
Case, yes, they could help. They could, yes.
They could, yes.
Any corporate verbal...
You should also note, we should also note that that's because that what the statute has under 1329.
Yes, That's basically follows the PUC follows the regulations, the law.
The
So
law.
any corporate verbal promise that might be extended about a rate freeze when a water or sewer system is purchased from a municipality, the PUC is not bound to consider that when a when a request to increase rates is filed with the PUC. Is that correct?
Yes, when the freeze is over, then if they file a rate case, then they don't have to honor.
Right, and to my knowledge, there's nothing in the law or anywhere else that says a verbal promise about a rate freeze has to be honored by the PUC. Am I correct?
Yes,
So if a corporate owner purchases the Chester Water Authority for hundreds of millions of dollars,
Talman.
am I correct to say that ratepayers will end up financing that purchase price?
the ratepayers will, yeah, basically will.
We're about to do all the things that they're trying to avoid us paying for. We're about to pay for those things. We're just doing it in a roundabout way. We're giving somebody else the money to hold for us and give it to Talmenson instead of us giving it to them ourselves. This is why key phrases like, oh, the taxes are going to be low. The taxes don't matter if your bills are out of this world. Your low taxes won't make a difference to you because if your bank account is like my bank account, I don't have a tax bank account and a bill bank account. I have a checking and a savings. I'm trying to pay less money. And if I do pay money, I want my dollars to be effective. This is part of the reason why I am opposed to selling our sewer. I've seen people who oppose this position take the assertiveness and saying, well, go ahead and talk to some of the people who support it, and you'll find out that they're from neighboring counties and townships, and they're from people from outside of our township trying to have a say. Yes, those people are called customers. They're the ratepayers for the Talmenson Township sewer system, and they don't want to pay more money. But unfortunately for them, they don't have a say. We are the ones who are defending their rights and their abilities to be able to pay lower rates. And we're also protecting ourselves. And the ironic part is, the same way we'll sit here and say, well, they shouldn't have a say because they don't have a vote. Last time I checked, the ratepayers here in Talmenson, we don't have a vote when it comes to PA Water in the boardroom and the goings on in the executive board of the PA Water Company. So we don't have a say either. And we're about to hand ourselves over to them. So I want you guys to think about that as you go into the polls on May 16th. Make time to go out and vote because this is very important. The charter is very important because, again, we're not just voting for the sewer system. We're voting for a more equitable government that can be held accountable to the people. So when they make decisions like this, they have to come to us and give us the information and get our buy-in so that we don't turn around and referendum that stuff. That's one of the things that so many people were saying during the course of the last couple town halls. Is that how come we don't put this on a ballot? How come we don't have a choice? This Tuesday, we have an opportunity to start putting things on the ballot that we disagree with. So come on out on May 16th and vote yes to the Home Rule Charter. I'm your neighbor James, and I'm out.